For this case study, we're going to look at a cultural accountability target. We'll name it culture change. And for our statement, we'll simply put create a culture of accountability across the organisation. We'll take this to our target frame. For our first lens, our intention is going to be increase accountability and ownership, behaviours across the organisation. We'll leave it there. We'll have ongoing state, and that's a behavioural change. For our control, we'll say influence how accountability, expectations, management practices, and operational behaviours are reinforced across teams. It's going to be an indirect influence. For our mechanism, I'll make this fairly thorough. We'll go introduce regular accountability reviews. Let's do defined ownership practices or structures. We'll say defined ownership structures, leadership feedback processes, and operational follow-up procedures across departments. Okay, so that's fairly specific. There are some general intentions there as well, so might be a little bit of an edge case, that one, but we'll put it as specific at the moment, and we'll look at evidence records again. This is going to echo really what we've put in for our mechanism. So records of accountability, reviews, ownership, tracking, leadership, feedback, documentation, and operational follow-up completion across departments. And that's going to be really, again, a little bit of an edge case, but we'll say it's an early signal of whether we're on track on changing the behaviours we want to. And for expectation, we will say establish consistent accountability behaviours across the organisation, and then we'll say within 12 months. It's going to be a result change. Okay, we're ready to take this upstream and examine the structure. Okay, so our structural state is unsupported. We've got two structural tensions identified, got control to expectation and control to mechanism. But the outcome depends on factors beyond the declared span of control, and the mechanism relies on coordinated participation that is not fully governed by the declared span of influence. No declarations here, but we'll run the alignment. Now, what's important here is that the structure itself is not weak. The mechanisms are reasonably defined, and the organisation is attempting to reinforce the behaviour operationally. If we look at this, we've just got one advisory, which is around evidence type to activity completed. We mentioned that these were both a little bit of edge cases, so we can apply that alignment, and we'll use the alignment as a single source of truth for our declarations. So we're still It's made no difference to the outcome as far as the kind of unsupported structural state, and the reflection remains control to expectation and control to mechanism. We're now ready to take this further and see if we can resolve or tighten it even more. I mean, the expected outcome here still depends partly on human behavioural adoption outside direct organisational control. So that's where it's finding tension at the moment, is in really our control field and our intent and expectation fields. So let's look at what our options are. We've got two approaches. We've got our reduce expectation. It brings the expectation here to conduct accountability reviews across the organisation. So it really drops this back to becoming the activity itself, which we know we could control. Or we move to the right here, we've got expectation remains with the original ambition, but we're tightening some of the mechanisms, evidence here, to be even more thorough than we've got on the left. So we've got facilitate monthly accountability reviews. We've also got to conduct operational follow-ups with defined agendas. So there's a few things that are in place here. We've also got operational follow-up meetings across departments, agendas for that. And we've got some structured feedback and shared templates across this as well. So we'll try for now to leave the ambition in place, and we'll take the adoption of tightening these mechanisms and evidence structures. We'll see what the outcome of this is. Remember, again, this will run the alignment automatically. So we've got a return result of unsupported. We still have the same two structural tensions identified. We have no clashes as far as our declarations go. So this is, in this case, this reconciliation, it can reduce ambiguity, but it cannot fully eliminate the dependency underneath the behavioural outcome itself. So what the system is doing here is strengthening the operational structures surrounding accountability. That's what we've done with our mechanism. If we drop back to our structure here, we can see our mechanism has been tightened, our evidence has been tightened, but fundamentally our control remains influence how accountability expectations, management practices and operational behaviours are reinforced across teams. So the system, while strengthening the operational structures surrounding the accountability, it cannot pretend that behavioural adoption itself can be fully guaranteed. So I think it's worth reflecting on. Structural improvement does not always eliminate structural dependency. And in some cases like this, we've got a solid target that actually leaving the dependency and that dependency around that control visible is actually the most honest outcome. Now, this doesn't mean that we cannot press forwards with this target. It means that we explicitly are aware that this target has an area where we can only influence and not completely control. And that's something that, looking at the results as we go through the year and we're trying to implement this, we have mitigation built around and we go in with our eyes wide open.